What is the first thing you ask yourself when you're looking to buy something for your business? Is it, how much does it cost? Well, what if I told you that's the wrong question you should be asking? In today's episode, we speak with Francesco Marra of Marra Forni. Francesco is a business mogul. He has exited a successful distribution company. He is a chef. He owns multiple food businesses and Marra Forni and the Pizza University. So you are in for a treat. You are in for some amazing business and life lessons from this guy. Now going back to the question, how much does it cost? Well, it was a bit of an over-exaggeration to say it's the wrong question, but it's often the only question we ask. And truthfully, while you do need that question, the question you should actually be asking is how much will this purchase make my business? So if you're looking to buy something, yes, find out how much it costs and then see, is this purchase going to help me drive up profits? And is that growth in profits worth it for that purchase? And I think that's when you should be asking, what is the price? Well, if you like that example, Francesco has so many more sage pieces of business advice. So definitely sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And remember to always ask, what's good dough? I'm with Francesco Marra of Marra Forni.
Marra Forni, exactly. You say correctly. I always love when people try to spell my last name because you get, even my name, Francesco, a lot of people call me Francisco or Francis sometimes. I'm like, nope, my name is Francesco. I'm Italian. I'm not Spanish. So don't, let's make sure that you get it right. The last name, people say Marra. But in Italian, double R is Marra. So you put a little bit more emphasis on the second R.
Is there a definition to Marra?
No, it doesn't really. It's a last name. It's our last name, but it's also our legacy. As a family, they came here as an immigrant over 30 years ago. And this is very important for any immigrants that come here because it's a challenging process to move from one country to another one. In Italy, for instance, people don't move from Napoli to outside in the suburban because they want to stay close to their family. And the fact that you're going thousands of miles away from your hometown, it's a big risk. And when you start, you don't understand what you're going to go through. I came here when I was 22, and I didn't know what to expect, honestly. I was excited, but I can tell you it has not been easy by any meaning to come to a different country without talking, without knowing the language, without knowing the cultures. Without having any human resource, any relatives or friends, start all over. But at the same time, this is my country too now. I'm very fortunate and humble to be not only an Italian citizen, but also an American citizen. And my 3 kids were born in Washington, D.C.
When you first moved here, protecting the family name, protecting what you grew up learning and knowing, talk to me a little bit about your legacy, why it's so important for you to uphold.
We didn't have a perfect childhood. My family, my mom and my dad had a litigious, relationship. And I promised myself that when I will have an opportunity to be independent, autonomous, that I will, really respect my last name and make sure that I created that legacy for my family, and I'm doing it, of course, along with my brother, who is my partner. And so we are, as an immigrant, you come here, you got to define what is your purpose, right? Why you are here. And at the beginning, you don't understand it. As a matter of fact, I tell the story to a lot of people. There is time in your life, as an immigrant, you come here, that you get very confused. Because you spend maybe 5-6 years and you're starting to learn English. You lose a little bit of your Italian because you start to learn. You really want to learn, new language. Also Spanish because as a chef, I work in kitchens, and I had to learn also Spanish. And you get a time where you get confused. So you don't understand whether you're losing your Italian or you're not even Americans. But then after a couple of years, once you become a little bit mature, you understand that you are special because not only you can call yourself Italian, but also American. And I don't know how many people can say that, right? And so we need to appreciate as immigrants, and the United States, the strength of the United States is the power, the creativity, and the innovations that a lot of immigrants bring here to the United States. And we need to be humble and at the same time proud of what we bring in this country. And then we have to make sure that we keep up with this legacy of our last name, and make sure that we move it forward for the new generation, because we have a big responsibility as an immigrant. I think our family has done very well. There are as many immigrants said that in the first generation, they don't really make huge progress, and then they work really hard for the second one. As a family, we have over 100 employees right now between the three organizations that we own, and this is just the beginning. This is just I'm 51. Chronologically, I am 51, but I feel like I'm 40.
I'm talking to the founder of Marra Forni, and this company has just been taking a storm, this pizza industry that we're in. Well, it seems like you all have been in this business forever, but really it's only been about a little over a decade.
So, if you take in consideration that we had 4 businesses in 2014, my background, I was a chef when I came here. Then I opened my first business. It was a food distribution business, Euro Gourmet. Yes, it was acquired by Chef Warehouse in 2014. And then in 2012, we decided to pivot a little bit, and we basically started our Marra Forni, manufacture of brick ovens. We knew nothing about manufacturing in 2012. And so in 2014, we sold our food distribution company, and then we focused 100% on Marra Forni. So basically from 2015 is really when we started to focus, we had the restaurant, the first VPN pizzeria restaurant in Maryland. Unfortunately, we had to let go of the restaurants, and we kept the catering company, which now has become our hospitality divisions, and we have another brand that is called Oro Pizza, and we do food service contract for a lot of the large companies in the United States. Just to mention some, we were at the Super Bowl last year. We're doing the Formula One in Miami. We're doing it DC United, the Washington Spirits, the Washington Commanders, the Baltimore Orioles, the DC Tennis Open, and this year we strike a deal also with the Kentucky Derby. We're doing the Golf Open of North Carolina, and also the Traveler Golf Tournament in Connecticut. So
that's very impressive. And going back to the idea of this being a marathon, did you see long term that I'm going to build multiple businesses and I'm going to just singularly focus on one and then expand over time?
So what is, you have to ask yourself why you're doing this, and the love, the love and the passion for the culinary arts. For me in particular, it was really it started in the kitchen with my grandmother, which unfortunately passed away just a few months ago.
So sorry.
She was 96 and she had a great life.
That's beautiful.
And so the culinary arts is, in particular pizza, obviously, it's something that is very important to our family because we're from Naples, Italy, where the pizza was born. And Neapolitan, for Neapolitan, pizza is much more than just food. It's part of your life. Every memories that you can remember from the day that you were born, they have pizza. I probably ate pizza when I was born and not not a regular, breakfast or the flavors, the memories, the food, the appreciation for for the city, for the pizza. It's very important to us, and we want to make sure that we represent the made in Naples here in the United States. But the preservation and the conservation of the Neapolitan heritage and tradition is something very dear to our family as well. That's why we created a Pizza University in Culinary Arts, which is located in right outside of Washington D.C. And we've done almost 1,000 students in the last 5 years. We have the best instructor coming to teach at our school. We're started continuing education with some food service company, and so we are also expanding. We're in the process to triple the size of our culinary centers. So it's magical
to say the least.
Yeah, but what's magical is that we're able to preserve these skills and provide the qualified laborers that our industry desperately needs to grow, because as you know, one of the biggest challenges in our industry is to find qualified laborers. For instance, I'm in Maryland, and Maryland has the lowest unemployment in the United States, 1.9%. I know many customers that they're not able to open or to expand their hours of operation because they cannot find qualified laborers.
Tell me what you're looking for specifically, because when people are listening to this, they're like, I would love to work for Francesco. I would love to work for this amazing brand that is being built into something even bigger, because I have been watching your journey and it's always evolving. And so this is the pitch right here, everyone. What is your needs?
So really pizzaioli, right? Pizza makers, people that love pizza making, they're hard to find. And we need to create a new generation of pizzaioli if we want our industry to continue to prosper. We have 65,000 pizzerias in the United States right now, and we do over $60 billion in revenue. But we can do more. And pizza is evolving so much, has evolved so much in the last years. And not only, in revenue, but also in style. And
is that what you mean by new generation of pizzaioli?
I mean, not only in the creativity and innovation of the pizza making, which by the way is probably at the highest level that I've seen in the last years.
It's ridiculous.
We are sponsor of the Pizza Fest here in Los Angeles, and yesterday I had the first day, and I had exceptional pizza. I
can tell that means you don't use that word very often.
Right.
The feeling that just left your body when you said, I had exceptional pizza, I truly believe
I
that.
was super impressed of the quality of pizza and the cares and the details and the creativity, the colors. Chris Daker made this pizza that was so colorful, but it had so many ingredients on it, but at the same time it was perfectly cooked, and it was a combination of great flavors, and it was a great experience. The same thing, Tony G, he was making a grandma, and again had some the typical cup and char pepperoni, and had a little bit of honey, of his personal honey, but the execution of the crust is what people take it for granted sometimes. And to be able to cook a pizza 365 days always at the same level, that's really where you differentiate yourself. It's the consistency in your product. I want to go to a pizzeria on Monday when there is only 10 tables occupied, but I want to have the same pizza on Friday and Saturday when the restaurant is full and there is 30, 40 orders to take out, and you have a Uber Eater that is waiting for another 10, 15 orders. That's an exceptional operators, and that's a trade that you have to master, and you have to spend a lot of time. There is a sense of gullibility that anybody can make a pizza, but not everybody can make a great pizza. And That's what we need to do as an industry if we want to continue to grow. I always tell our students, your competitor is not your pizzeria that is one block away. Your competitor is, the Tex-Mex, is the Asian food. If you make, a different style of pizza, people will come. If you make a great pizza, people will come. But you have to make sure that it's consistent every day.
Do you personally like the traditional Neapolitan more than the neo-Neapolitan?
It all depends if it's executed well and it's
executed by both. Let's say Giulio is making your pizza and he gave you the option. Do you want? And Giulio is a good friend of yours, a pizza university instructor. If he's going to make between two, the neo-Neapolitan, the Neapolitan, Francesco, what do you want to eat? What are you going to say?
But I would say the true, the Neapolitan style pizza, because the traditional, because that's what I was born with. Obviously, I'm a traditionalist, but I'm also very progressive with the style of pizza. And if I had to choose, I will definitely go with the traditional Neapolitan style pizza. But I also like Neo-Neapolitan. I actually like every style of pizza. I like any combinations as a chef will put on a plate could go on a pizza. And that's the evolution of pizza. You got the traditionals, but you also have the progressive, the innovators that they're very creative with their combinations. There is the controversy, for instance, with the pineapple, right? And I'm against to putting a slice of pineapple on a pizza because I think it's overdone and it's not going to be a great pizza. But I'm okay if you're going to do a thinly sliced, a pineapple paired with a particular cheese, maybe with the different flavors on spice and maybe some pungent, flavors or even something spicy. Right, north of Italy we make apple and gorgonzola and balsamic vinegar. Mm-hmm. It's a perfect combination.
Yeah.
It's all about balance and it's all about pairing the right ingredients and give it the type of explosion that your palate needs to appreciate and to savor.
That's the chef talking in you, that's for sure, because I feel like people are so closed-minded when it comes to this topping or that topping that can't be on pizza. And sometimes I find it's pizza makers, but most of the time it's just the crowd talking who has an opinion and really doesn't care.
It's the balance in the ingredients. Truly. And in the flavors. There is not such a thing that a product cannot be combined with something else. You see a lot of reconstructed or deconstructed style of pizza that they are inspired by a traditional pasta dishes, cacio e pepe. You got a carbonara. Some people make carbonara style of pizza. I have no problem with that. It's all about the execution, honestly. Once you have your first bite and you feel like okay, the crust and the ingredients and the flavors, they make sense for you. There's no limitation in pizza.
One of the limitations that you're breaking, especially in today's day and age, can't do gas, can't do wood-fired, can't keep up with my demand. Talk to me about this amazing creation that shook the pizza world. Was it 2 years ago?
It's about 3 years, 4 years, I would say. It started, with pizzaiolo understanding that if you use an electric oven that has a dual heat, top and bottom, you're able to make a more consistent pizza, and you're also increasing your revenue opportunity because you can probably reduce the time of cooking about 40 to 50%. And then so as a business owner, we always look to optimize your revenue and to improve, your profitability and your bottom line. And so that's important because a lot of the concept that it shut down and they are not able to adapt. Even though you're a traditionalist, you still have to evolve and you got to figure out how you can do it better. And that's the first thing. The second thing is the electrification of kitchens in the United States. There's about 12 states in the United States that they want to be all electric by 2050, carbon free. They want to be sustainables. They want to make sure that we use this source of fuel going forward because it's better for our heart. And I don't know whether it's going to happen or not. There are incentive plans for electric ovens. You can get a discount in these particular states. And so that's you see, also the verticalization of equipment, because the traditional gas ovens, they only have about 2 decks versus these new electric ovens. They're more compact and they're more efficient, and you can also go vertical up to 4 deck, which means instead you go to these New York style pizzeria where you go in, you see horizontally a large kitchens with about 4 or 5 ovens, and they still have a line outside because the ovens can't keep up, because it was probably built 20, 25 years ago. Still does a good job, but if you're thinking revenue per square foot and cost per square foot, obviously you want to reduce your real estate, and you want to increase your revenue, and at the same time you're going to increase your profit.
What a great use case. I didn't even think about that. We have a very modest home in San Jose, California, and we bought it thinking we would be okay. And then when we had the addition of our daughter, it's starting to become very tight. But still, we make use of the garage, and we converted that into a space. And then we said we have still too much stuff. And so we started using the ceilings for storage. And it just makes sense to use up that real estate that no one has by going vertical. And in fact, it's very relevant in this podcast, where pizza makers who are looking to level up or even get started in the business, you can have a starter oven, it be electric, and build as you scale by adding decks without having to move to different places.
So with electric ovens today, because it's so precise, one of the differentiators between us and any of our competitors, we have dual heat, but it's a lot more precise, because we don't have a chamber temperature, but we actually have we have a probe for the top and the bottom, so you get that precision temperature and the precision crust, right? That's why Tony Gimignani is using our product, is because we are much more precise and much more efficient as an electric oven. Even though we've been making electric ovens since 2018. We started with the Neapolitan electric ovens, and then we engineer our stackable electric oven that is also modular, which means you can buy one deck, and later if you want to add the second one, you don't need to buy a second oven. You can just add on, which is also a big advantage for the operators. But you can engineer the entire menu just with our electric oven, because you can go anywhere from 250 Fahrenheit to 950 Fahrenheit, which means I can cook pastry, I can cook bread, and then I can cook, a pizza, a New York style pizza or a pan pizza, and then the last deck I can do a Napolitan style pizza. So no limitations. The verticalization again of equipment is extremely important. In a restaurant, we talk about always cost per square foot. We also revenue per square foot. We also, with equipment, you got to figure out what is the revenue opportunity for cooking surface. Square foot, and that's very important. I feel like a lot of people, they buy on price, right? Not on actually performance efficiency of the product, and that's a big mistake a lot of operators are making. It's a vicious cycle, because people want to buy what's cheaper, right? But they don't understand that you're making a big mistake, because as a leader of an organization, as an owner, you have to figure out how you can optimize your profitability. But if you're buying the wrong tools, then your profit are going to start to decrease, and then you ask yourself why you're not profitable, because you're making the bad choices.
One of the questions a lot of pizza makers ask themselves is, how many pizzas do I need to sell to be profitable? And then is it a better question to say, how many pizzas can I sell within dinner service? And then the question after that is, what machine will help me do that? Is that sort of where
that's
your line
a
of
big
thinking?
question to ask, because you open a big conversation right now. To have a successful pizzeria, you gotta start from having the right business plan. You gotta do your research, your demographic research. You gotta look at the ethnicity of the populations. How many times you think people are gonna eat pizza on a weekly basis, and then you gotta look at your locations. The cost of the real estate is usually a big problem for many operators, because they're paying too much, and you just don't have the activations for lunch or dinner. And now in these days you have a little bit of advantage because you can deliver your product through the third party, which was usually a 10-15% business before the pandemic. Through the pandemic, it became 100% of your business. But today, a lot of pizzeria they still do about 30-40% of their business through a third party. So it's very hard, to questions. How can you be successful with your pizzeria? Because you got to make sure everything works. You have to, I believe when you start a pizzeria, you have to have a business plan, and then you have to have a projections, and you have to have 3 different type of projection. You have to have the best case scenarios, and then you have to have a mediocre, and then something that is very conservative. And as you have, your first months of business, you got to, double check your projection and adapt to your projection. As you adapt to your projection, you also have to adapt, not only the top line, but also, your all your expense, or your labor cost, or your overhead cost, and you have to follow the ratio. If we know that if you want to be successful in the restaurant business, your cost of real estate should be below 10%. If you're above 10%, you're going to be in trouble. A good operator can probably make 15%, 15 to 20 if you're really, really, really good, if everything is perfect, right? But on the lower hand, people make 2 to 5%. And so if you're paying that 3-5% more on real estate, here we go, you don't have any profit.
Wow, those are great questions to ask. Let's talk about pan pizzas for a quick second. What are you using to press out your dough? I found out that whatever fat you use greatly affects the flavor of your pizza. And that is why the only brand I trust with my pizza is Cordo olive oil. Taste is everything, and other brands and other fats pale in comparison. Do you want to taste the difference? Go to cordo-olive.com using the link in the show notes. You can purchase a bottle there, or if you're an operator, you can get a free tasting. Just message me and I'll connect you with them. I'll leave my contact in the show notes. Thank you, Cordo Olive Oil, for sponsoring the podcast. One of the things pizza makers spend the most money on is cheese. Every time I have a catering event, cheese is my biggest ingredient cost. But what if I told you there's a cheese company out there that lets you earn cash back for every pound of cheese purchased? I'm talking about Bacio Cheese. And their Gold Club Rewards members receive their rewards card every month that can be used wherever Visa is accepted. So the more cheese you buy, the more you can earn. Literally, you get paid to use Bacio Cheese. Now that is cool. Learn more at Bacio Cheese using the link in the show notes. Can we talk about the fact that Marra Forni is, especially with the electric oven, is the hot new, it's like the pretty beautiful woman that everyone has their eyes set on. Do you see that? Do people say that to you?
Honestly, if you look at the evolution of our brand since we've been in business, for over 10 years, but really 7 years, 100%. We have over 500 configurations. We have all types of combustions. You can come to us whether you want a wood, gas, coal assist, and electric. We have it all. And this is just the beginning. The fact that we created an exceptional product, and we did it through COVID, when it was extremely difficult for any business to survive, it shows the tenacity and the resilience that our business has. And we have created a good product, and we have about 4 configurations right now. We have customized one oven for Tony G, 7344. 73 is the width, 44 is the depth. Basically, he's able to put 2 20-inch pizza front to back without using a zigzag method. So he's got a full utilization of the deck, and basically he's able to make two pizza for every 6 minutes, a 10 rotation 1 hour for every deck. So, and he's got 3 decks, so he's basically making about 60 pizza more for every hours, times $40 per pizza. I think that's his average for a 20-inch or $35. He's making $2,000 more of revenue just 1 hour. right? We were able to customize an oven for him in a matter of 6 months because we knew there was a good opportunity for us, and also because we love working with Tony, and he's also been a great friend and a great supporter of Marra Forni, and he's on a fast track growth right now, and we're doing whatever we can to support him, not only with our product but also with our service, logistic, timing. To build an oven, it takes about 8 weeks, but there are times where he says, I need something a little bit rush. We make an exception, and we don't overcharge him anything for that. Usually there is a rush fee, and we're able to step up and support with his growth. I think he's done over 15 stores already in the last 6 months, and I think he has already sold 150 franchisee, and so it's going to be nice to see this relationship to continue to grow. But I'm very excited for him. Honestly, I know he's been in the industry for so long, and he's done he's the GOAT of our industry, and he's done extremely well for himself. And I can see that in the next 2-3 years he's going to have a phenomenal growth, and hopefully we're going to continue to be his partner. We impair him with not only with our product but also with our service and also our relationship.
Do you think that key partnership there with Tony was the best move possible to make this oven the hot new girl? Because you look at LeBron James, what he's wearing, the kids wear. Kobe Bryant, what kind of shoes he wears, how he speaks, people follow. And so you think the same thing is going on with Tony Gemignani?
Well, absolutely. I mean, but you without a great product, it wouldn't work.
If it was Payless Shoes partnering with LeBron James and Kobe, right?
So definitely we started from the top, right? Working with Tony, and not only Tony. Tony is just one of the great pizzaiolo. We also have Joe Carlucci that is using. Chris Bianco is using our oven. So we made a good product, and is by hearing from Tony, is working extremely well. Everybody's happy. All their franchisees are happy. But what doesn't mean happy? Well, revenue is the most important thing, and he's generating a lot of revenue for him, more than the previous company was generating. But product is one thing, right? I think when you're buying a product, 70% of your cost is the product itself. 30% is service, technical service, culinary service, customer service, right? We need to understand that the market is huge, right? The geography of the United States is enormous, right? If you consider that Italy is double the size of Florida, and there is another 49 states that you have to cover, the biggest challenge for any manufacturer is service support and culinary support. And we have made major investment in the last years to train technicians all over the United States, but also build a team, an army of technicians, because in the event something happens, we're not going to wait for the technician to come in a week. So if you call me and say, I'm in California and my oven is down, and you call a tech company and say, well, I can't come for a week, I'm going to step up, and I'm going to send my own technician from Maryland to you for a fee, obviously, but we're not going to let you down. And that's a commitment, very, very, very essential commitment to our customers. And that's the reason people use Marra Forni, because we know that we got your back.
That's very interesting. I just recently purchased an EV, and one of the things that stood out, and we didn't buy a Tesla, unfortunately. One of the things that stood out to me is that in order for Teslas to work, they have to have an extensive charging network. Otherwise, there's no car that does well on the road, right? You can charge at home as much as you want, but in order for you to get to place A to place B in a timely manner, with all of your insurances backing you up in case you run out of charge or anything like that, you have to have the support. And you built that.
Yeah, and that's again, people, I hate when people come to me and say, how much does it cost your oven? It's like, why are you asking? You're asking the wrong questions. The question is, what does the oven do for you, right? And how it correlates to price. Because if I tell you it's $50,000, you tell me it's too expensive. Too expensive of what? What is the other part of the equations, right? And unless you understand the company that you're working with and the type of and the evolution of the company and what they're trying to achieve and what are the challenges in our industry, you will make the wrong choice.
Of course.
Because you could buy an oven that is probably cheaper than mine from an importer that doesn't have any support, doesn't have any technical support, it doesn't have any technician, doesn't have any parts in stock, and you're going to save them maybe 10, 15, and 20%. But the day that you're going to be down, all the saving that you had, you're going to waste in one day not operating.
Yeah,
is it worth
more.
it? I don't think so.
No. There's this very famous viral social media post about a college professor saying this bag is worth $50,000. How many of you will buy it? Everyone says no. And then they say, but how come none of you asked what comes with the bag? Right? It's like thinking deeper.
It's a vicious cycles that I definitely want to tell the audience that cheap is expensive. Okay, don't buy the cheap stuff because it's going to cost you more. You got to make sure that you vet your product as well. You vet your ingredients because as a chef, I'm a chef. I was a chef. I went to culinary arts. I know how important it is to make a recipe, right? And it starts with ingredients, the selection of the ingredients, the storytelling of the ingredients, where it came from, how it was produced. Is it consistent all year round? And then if someone were to come to you and say, "Well, your sauce is exactly like the one that I buy from the grocery store," you're probably going to say, "No, you're wrong. It's not identical. It's not the same," because we know it's not the same, right? So when you're buying an oven or you're buying an equipment, whether you're buying my oven or you're buying any other piece of equipment, what you really have to do is do the vetting process exactly as you buy your ingredients. And you got to go through the process and be sure that you check everything, all the key performance indicator that you want, that they're essential to you. You got to make sure that you ask and you check. Like, for instance, you buy an imported ovens and you are in Texas or you are, in another, big states, and you are in a small city outside, and you got to ask, the company, if something were to happen, who is going to fix my problem, right? And it's easy to cover, DC, New York, Boston, Chicago, but as I said, United States is huge. The magnitude of geographic is just enormous, and so if I go in a state that is so large, and who is going to fix it, right? And we're trying to do a lot of things, in the house with our technology to troubleshoot, to make sure that, we can serve you, just by phone. And then once we go through the list of all the troubleshooting and we cannot fix it, then we usually call a technician. Again, if a technician cannot come, then we have to step up as a company and figure out how we can serve you. That should mean a lot to any end users, because without equipment you cannot operate.
Yeah, and that's coming from experience, right? You're not just the hot new oven. It is the new oven, but you all have been in business for so long, so you know how to support a pizzeria. And that's very interesting that you said cheap is expensive. Oh my goodness, that just hits a sore spot, because my wife said the other day, I bought this toy from Amazon for our daughter. It's a metal jungle gym. It took me 4 hours to install yesterday. And when I was reading the reviews afterwards, sort of reflecting on why it took so long, it said, great price, but the instructions are so bad. And probably is because the person who created it, these things are made in China. Very poor translation from Chinese to English, and just very bad instructions. And it was frustrating me a little bit, because I was like, I wish you just bought the one that cost twice as much.
Well, I'm happy to hear that you read the manual, because most operators do not read the manual, and that's the first step, to a disasters, because you got to read the manuals. If you're buying a piece of equipment that is worth, $30,000 to $50,000, you're buying a car, and you're buying an asset, and you have to preserve your asset, and you got to make sure that you read your manuals, because if you make a mistake, it's going to affect, your product.
I think my wife, because she always read the manual and I never did until I met her. And so she's ingrained that in me. I read every manual. I just bought a new dishwasher, read that thing, and it's a habit for me now, but it's very important.
Yeah, it's extremely important. And, support the made in USA if you can. There's a lot of import product. Again, if you have a budget to follow, I understand, right? If your budget is, so small. But I also have to say there is a lot of opportunity to get finance, and you can spread, the cost of your equipment. for instance, the lifespan of an oven, it's 100 years, right? If you're really, really,
if you read the manual and
if you do everything correct. But let's assume for accounting purpose, you want to use, 7 years you depreciate your oven in 7 years. If you're buying something that costs you $30,000, that oven is going to cost you about $3,000, $3,500 per month, right? And so with $3,500 a month of investment, you can generate $500,000 or $1 million. That's huge. Right, your cost is so low comparing to the revenue,
3%.
right? And there are leasing options out there. So even if your budget is small, you can also lease or go to a traditional financing through your bank. I know the interest rate a little bit higher right now, but they're going to go down as the business continue to improve. But even if you're paying 7-8%, and if you spread it and if it makes sense and you have the revenue opportunity, I will still recommend to buy the right piece of equipment with the right service and support.
That's awesome. With the time that we have left, I want to try to get a little bit of information from you about the residential side of things. I'm very curious because I heard your interview with Peter Reinhardt. There's a little drop there. I even read an interview from you in, I think, 2021, and you were sort of hinting at it then.
So we've been doing residential forever, right?
Okay.
But not officially. Like if you were to call me and say, I want your home, and I'm like, of course I'm going to sell it to you, right? But it's one thing is to do it between friends and family and acquainted. It's one thing to go in the residential business, right? Residential and commercial, they're completely two different industry. Or different channels, I would say, and we have tried to master the commercial business, and I've seen and I heard of company that got into residential, and then you start to lose focus, and you can't serve residential, and you cannot serve commercial. Now your brand is getting jeopardized because you're not doing it well. So we've been hesitant to go into residential because we've just been so busy with our commercial that we haven't been able to put a new team. Because when you go into residential, you got to put a new team together. You got new distributions. You got to figure out the logistics. You got to figure out the technicians, and by the way, the technicians they serve commercial, do not do residential usually. So you need to build all your technicians, all your technical support again, which
it's
will take
almost rebuilding that foundation that we talked about.
It's starting from scratch. Right, and we're not going to put our company in a situation where we're going to lose our legacy and our brand recognition because we have worked so hard, to have a very respectful brand, and we don't want to ruin it. And so, however, in the pipeline, there are residential products that we're working on it that are going to be a little bit lower end than our traditional handcrafted brick ovens, because our ovens, they're nobody here in the United States except some small guys really builds the oven like we do, brick by brick process. The only two machinery that we have in our food equipment manufacturer, beside the metal fab and welding where we have machinery, it's a wet saw and a concrete mix. Everything else is made by the bare hands of our masons, right? The residential line is going to be the evolution of our brand and going into more something that is semi-industrial, right, to reduce the cost of labor, which is the biggest cost of our production right now. And then there is also some other product that we're going to try to launch that are going to be even less expensive. But again, if it was for me, I will do it today. But because I am the leader of this organization, I got to do what is the best for our for our team and our family, and also for our reputation, and therefore we still have a couple probably a couple quarter before we can actually put our foot in the door. And I still have to figure out what the strategy is going to be, because again, United States is huge, and we got to make sure which part of the country we're going to start with our residential division, right? To say that I want to do business in United States, well, which state of the United States, right? There's a lot of Italian company, they come here and they say, I want to do business in the United States. Oh, great. It's like, okay. So which state you're going to start? No, I want to do United States. Okay. Welcome, Good luck. Good luck with that. And typically a lot of companies, they come with the high aspirations that they want to do a great business. And then they start to have all these roadblocks and all these obstacles, and they spend tons of money, and usually they withdraw from United States, because they understand that it's a big country with a lot of opportunity, but it's full of obstacles, and unless you have the knowledge and unless you actually live here in the United States, you will not be successful.
Before I ask you my final couple questions here, can you give us a hint of what your grand vision is for the residential side? Because I still am a residential operator. I do the mobile catering from side to side. You hinted in Peter's podcast that you are getting UL certification and NSF, which to me is huge because there aren't a lot of people doing that in the residential home.
Yeah, and that's I'm glad that you touched that point, because some of our competitors do not have that kind of certification. We get inspected by UL and NSF every quarter. We pay a quarterly fee to them, and that's sometimes it affects the cost, right? We have converted all our commercial line to residential line, so you can buy now any ovens for outdoor and indoor, and to be precise, outdoor, you're required to have a gas certifications, and indoor it's a different certifications. But you're able to buy our ovens for outdoor and indoor. So whether you want to put your oven outside or inside, you can buy Marra Forni that is certified and is approved by United Laboratory and also NSF, and in compliance with United States manufacturing, which is also very important for liability purpose, because if you buy a piece of equipment that is not approved in the United States, your insurance is not going to pay you. So be careful as an operators. Something happens and the cause of the accident is going to be your oven. Your insurance is not gonna pay you a penny. So be careful.
Be very careful. We don't think it's going to happen to us, but you never know.
You never know. We pay insurance every month, and it's only important the day that happens an accident. And you always think it's never going to happen anything in your life, but unfortunately, at some point in your life, you're going to have an accident, and that's where you need your insurance, whether it's for your health or if it's for your vehicles or for your business. I heard some story, people that they didn't have any insurance and they had an accident, and unfortunately they didn't have any protections and they lost all their business. Right. So if you're going to be in the business, the first thing that you have to do, one recommendation that I give you, like for your health, make sure that you have insurance
so you can sleep at night.
As far as residential, it's going to be a la carte. Right. If you want to have a custom-made oven that is built brick by brick, exactly like Italians used to do.
Smaller.
2000. No, as far as any configuration, any sizes, and then we're going to have a product that is going to be again made a little bit different with different technique. That is going to be a little bit more economical.
Like chipping away at the uni market share in a way.
Not yet. That's the third phase. That's something that we're contemplating on it as well. We might launch it probably by 2025, something like that. We're still talking right now. There is a lot of opportunity.
So curious to know.
I know you won't, but I can tell you everything.
I'm trying my hardest here, everyone. I'm sorry.
But let's put it like this: we are at the beginning of our venue, or our ventures, I would say, and there is so much more product in development for our company. We have 500 configurations today, between the combustions and also the configurations. I hate when people say, well, Marra Forni doesn't do that. That's impossible, because for static ovens, we go from 70 centimeter to 180 centimeters. So that means a 70 centimeter is just one pizza. And then, then we go into inches in square and rectangular ovens. The biggest oven that we made is 107 inches in width and about 90 inches in depth. That's internal dimension, not external dimension, so it will be even bigger.
Wow.
Then we have rotators where we only have, not only we have the dual burners, but we also have wood, gas, and we were just certified with the coal assist, which is extremely important for the history of American pizza, because as you know, in the Northeast, coal is very important because it's part of the New York and New Haven style of pizza. And so we created a rotator that now is also certified for coal assist, because we were talking before about square foot, right? And how important is the cost of real estate.
Coal assist.
Right, coal assist,
Oh,
yeah. So it's got a rotator, wood, gas, and coal assist.
Wow.
The only one in the United States. And basically, you don't really have to cook with, coal because it's dirty and, you need a lot of coal. You're cooking with gas and you're having coal just as complement to your fuel. But you can still say that you're a coal-fired, a pizzeria.
Wow. You have a lot going on and clearly doing well at it. Managing it, I'm sure it's related to your drive as a competitive person, the foundations that you've built in business over time, the team that you're building, the partnerships that you've made. It's truly impressive. And this conversation is, I'm sure, invaluable to me and everyone listening. So I just really want to say thank you before I ask you my final question.
Yeah, and I appreciate for inviting me. And I'm so excited to go to the second day of Pizza Festival. And that's when you know that you're really passionate and devoted to the industry because you love it. You feel like, it almost feels like today is, it's a final, right? And you're going to go up and you're going to see all these players, playing and making pizza,
doing
right?
Their thing.
And one of them wants to be the best, and it's very competitive, and that's very exciting, for me to go there. But I would say to anybody that is listening, unless you have the passions and the purpose in your business, you're not going to be successful. So make sure that you do something that you love, because if you love your business or what you do, it's not really work, right? It's fun. Okay, so I enjoy it. Enjoy pizza. Pizza is a global success. Right, pizza. As you travel around the world, you'll see what it means pizza, because everybody knows the word of pizza, and pizza is the king of food.
Ooh. Final question for you, Francesco. There is no right or wrong answer. What's good dough?
My God, we need a day just to go there.
You better hurry it up. They're starting the competition up there already.
It starts, what's a good dough? For me, a good dough today is something that is light, that has a nice, characteristic. It's got a nice flavor, fermented, with a longer fermentations, easy to digest, perfectly executed. I think, people sometimes, focus so much on the techniques and the fermentation and the maturation, but then, they lack on the executions, right? So the final touch of the process is the execution. And so my palate is asking for something that I can identify that everything is checking, right? It's from the ingredients of the flours, the typical flour, a little bit of the fermentations, the flavors, the crispiness, and then the executions of the product.
I agree. Beautiful. And
but we could talk all day about that.
We could talk all day, and unfortunately,
I'm not a pizzaiolo, but I'm definitely a pizza connoisseur, and I can definitely talk about pizza, and I can tell you that I'm excited to go for my second day at the Pizza Festival, because I'm going to try. I probably gained a couple pounds yesterday, even though pizza is healthy. Okay, it is healthy if you put the right ingredients and you don't put unlimited topping on it and just elevate some ingredients. Yeah. But I ate a lot of carb yesterday.
And you're going to do more today, but it's going to be totally worth it.
It's going to be worth it for sure. I can go on a diet, next week and do some, a start of, maybe for a couple of days.
Totally worth it. Thank you very much, Francesco.
No, my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Francesco, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. You are a wealth of knowledge, and me and the listeners are ever so thankful. To you, the listener, go check out Marra Forni. Go check out the Pizza University, especially if you want to level up your pizza game. They have amazing instructors, and from everyone that I've talked to who's taken the class, they're so happy they did. I appreciate you for listening. I love you. Till next time. Peace. Do you want a chance to win a $250 Uni gift card? Well, this is how you do it. Within the next 3 months, if you purchase something from uni.com using my affiliate link, send me your receipt. Each receipt that you send me, whether it's yours or a friend's or a neighbor's, will give you one entry into a raffle that will be giving away a $250 Uni gift card. That's all you have to do. All right. Happy buying and best of luck. And thank you for supporting me and my show sponsors.